Welcome, Sascha Wolter.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Please introduce yourself.
Oh well, I'm kind of from my heart. I'm a mixture of a developer and somebody who has a strong passion for user experience. That's what drives me, because I hate to use technology as a self-purpose. I want to do something good with that, and I love to answer the question why. Why are you doing that with a proper answer? So there must be some kind of value in what I'm doing for the users at least.
In terms of that, why I have a good question for you. According to you, what is human-computer interaction?
Well, computer interaction
Human-computer interaction,
yes.
What is it according to you?
Well, human-computer interaction, technically it means how humans interact with computers. Yes, that's a technical description. But for me, it's a wide, broader term. It involves a lot of different ways of interactivity, and always with the aim to reduce the gulf between human and machine. Yes, because there are so many scenarios where technology is somehow involved, and this should be for the good. It should make things more efficient, easier, faster. And therefore, HMI overall, we need to discover the best possible solution. And this does not mean it has to be conversational AI. Sometimes a simple web-based form might be way more efficient than a conversation, in quotes.
You know, you're not making friends on a conversational summit when you say conversational AI is not
it does not help us to build bad bots, yes, because then people are somehow disillusionated. They don't want to continue working in this great field. We have to build great solution. We have to somehow impress people with what we are doing, and then there's plenty of things to do for almost everybody.
You mentioned bad bot. That was your talk was about bad bots.
Yes.
What is a bad bot according to you? When is a bot bad?
So that's a pretty good question, because it's not fair to say that there is a bad bot somehow, but the opposite to say there's a good bot. It's hard to answer, because it, in quotes, depends. And if you have a very narrow scope, if you have a clear usage of your bot, then it's easy to build somehow, hopefully, a good bot. Yes, but it's also, even if you do that, it's easy to break almost every bot. Yes, that's definitely an issue, and this is something we have to deal with. Yes, because we have a lot of people trying out even good bots in a more explorative way. They try to insult the bot, and they are not really willing to do something cooperative. Yes, so that makes it hard to measure if a bot is successful or not, because you somehow have to filter all those people just playing with the bot without a real aim. But on the other hand, because we don't ask the why question enough, we build really a lot of bots which do not really have a purpose. Yes, and this makes up very bad bots. If a bot is designed, if it's just built to answer the how and what question, so how can I do something, what can I do somehow, but does not answer the question why should I use this bot. And this is important to avoid, in quotes, bad bots, and we have to be fair if we somehow measure the quality.
And how do you measure the quality?
So again, a good question. I like to give you an example how hard it is to measure a good quality. So if somebody asks over and over the same question to a bot, is that good or is that bad?
In my opinion, then the bot doesn't give the right answer. So then it's a bad bot.
Well, but if the bot is supposed to maybe give you some hints what to do in Edinburgh, where we are currently sitting, or if the bot can tell you awesome jokes and you want to get more and more jokes.
But then it's I agree, it is the same question, but it's a follow-up question on the previous question with a different story behind it, because I want the next joke.
Yeah, but it's still the same intent. Tell me a joke. And yes, indeed, I didn't mention that the bot always gives another answer. Yes, that's important. That there's some variety in terms of the answer. But technical-wise, if you look at the analytics dashboard, you see that some people ask over and over the same question. So that means analytics for itself is just an indicator, but it's not really a proof of the quality. You in a lot of cases you really have to look into the details. You can, thanks to analytics, you can find some kinds of spikes, and then you have to look into the spikes. And I remember, to give you a practical example, that one of our clients said the bot we are building is bad because it does only answer 70% of all requests. And I was like, well, 70% in with this scope, bless you, yes, with this scope and in this environment, that's a pretty good number. So I don't get why you complain about that. And then I spent some time to filter all the insulting and people not really interested in a cooperative conversation. I filtered that. And then we reached more than 80% of successful conversations. And this is even compared to academic lab projects. It's an awesome number. It's really a really good bot. And I was so proud. And I talked to the client and explained what's going on and that we have more than 80%. And the client said, well, humans can answer 100%. Well, to get back to the question, on the one hand, we have to somehow, to be somehow like the Grinch who wanted to prevent Christmas, but we have to avoid bad bots. We have to force an answer to the why question. So why should anybody in the world like to use this conversational experience over an app, for instance? And on the other hand, we have to enable, to empower, to enlighten all the stakeholders involved. And talking about the stakeholders, this is really a wide range of people involved in a project. It's not just let's say the customer hiring you or giving you the contract to build a bot. It's definitely the user talking to the bot. But there are also the developers involved, the editors involved, and the tool chain must be productive, and there must be some way of learning involved that you can improve the bot over time. So the tool chain, the productivity are important. There might be some human agents which take over the conversation. You have also to consider how can you build a virtual agent which really helps human agents. So there's so many things to consider, which makes our business quite, in quotes, complicated. But this is what I love so much about our job, that you have to talk to so many people, you have to take into account so many things. Even just talking about the conversational AI for itself, yes, you need to know how the technology works. You need to have some basic, at least, knowledge about machine learning, natural language understanding, generative AI. You need to understand user experience, the psychology of user experience, of human behavior. You need to understand somehow how linguistics work. Yes, and even philosophy is important if you talk about ethics and moral, so many things. And that's why I think we have an awesome industry to work in.
How do you apply all this knowledge for Deutsche Bahn?
Well, luckily, we have a bunch of specialists. Yes, we have linguists working at Deutsche Bahn, for instance. We have psychologists. we have a bunch of people for different subjects. And I like my personal role because I feel somehow like somebody who tries to get all those things to connect it. And this is a lot of fun. Even I feel more like a developer with, as said, with a strong passion for user experience. But I'm also kind of a network person in terms of business. Yes, honestly, I hate networking in my privacy. So meeting people outside my work is something where I prefer to be on my own, hiking, maybe like here in Edinburgh onto the hills. But in business terms, I love networking, bringing together the right people.
So how does that work in the team in Deutsche Bahn? I'm really curious because you have a variety of people.
Yeah.
And how does that work together? How do you glue that together?
Yes, we have several teams, and those teams, they have a focus, yes, on some different technologies, different kind of work. And in different subjects. And I, for instance, I work in the part of HMI, where we focus on HMI technology, including voice experiences. But this team is somehow connected to other teams related to HMI. For instance, we have one team which is called Immersive, which makes virtual and augmented reality applications, and we work together. We have another team which drives the contact center technology, and as said, the good part is we have our experts around in different teams, but you have to know where the experts are located, and you have to connect those people.
And you connect them.
I try to, not me alone. Yes, we are a team of people doing that, and you can't know everything. But I try my best, and this is, by the way, the reason why I love to go also to conferences outside Deutsche Bahn, because Deutsche Bahn somehow is an ecosystem for itself, but it's important not just to connect people internally, it's also important to connect from outside to get some more inspirations, some interesting ideas. And we as Deutsche Bahn, we think we also should give back information, some experience to make the world outside Deutsche Bahn better.
And what does the consumer notice if you talk about immersive stuff or augmented reality or virtual reality? What does the consumer notice or see on the website or experience?
We have a couple of, for instance, chatbots, voice experience, where we try to improve the user experience, where we try to make things easier accessible, faster accessible, more natural accessible. Sometimes it works, yes, indeed. Sometimes there's room for improvement. But I don't like to stick just with the idea of Deutsche Bahn is only serving travelers. Yes, there are so many more things which you don't see. For instance, if people internally inspect trains, we think about how could we improve this inspection through train mechanics. What can we do to make their work better, faster, and so on, just to make sure that trains, for instance, are more on time, more reliable.
How do you do that?
Oh, there's so many things.
Just give me an example so we understand.
What we are doing, for instance, what we could do in quotes. Yes, there's a lot of things going on. We could, for instance, establish kind of a virtual agent which supports the human, because I think you achieve the best user experience if you think in a way that this kind of conversational AI works alongside a human. That it's just a tool, conversational AI, a tool in terms of productivity, for instance. And therefore, we have scenarios where we build virtual agents supporting, for instance, a train mechanic who has to maybe write down the inspection. And there's a virtual agent making sure to write down the notes, to ask the right questions, to not miss anything. This is, for instance, one idea. We have another project which is it's aimed for train drivers traveling across borders, and to make it easier to talk to the control center in different languages. For instance, you're Dutch, and if somebody from Germany, for instance, drives a train through, let's say, the Netherlands, Belgium to the France, then he needs to speak at least 3 languages. Yes, German, Dutch, French, and it's hard to find people doing that. And we have some prototypes, projects where we have kind of a in quotes, Babelfish, a universal translator, which not just translate things, which works according to the regulation, uses NLU to detect the right sentences, because there's a regulation, what to say, how to say, to improve the conversation, to make it as secure as possible.
It surprises me that unlike in airlines and airports where everything goes in English, the train traffic is in local languages.
Oh, I
never realized that.
Yes,
I never realized that.
Yeah, but it's the case, yes.
You would assume that in a European Union that would have been unified into one language, but never mind. The technology you use, what do you use?
Oh, several technologies. We choose the technology which is best suited for our use case. So there's not a single technology I can tell you for several reasons, but we have a variety of technologies. We work with most big vendors. We have some self-developed tools. Sometimes we buy tools from the market. We always try to find the best solution in terms of quality and price. Indeed, yes. In the end, we have to somehow justify a business case.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And what is your favorite project? Of all the projects you've done, what's your favorite?
My favorite project.
It can be also outside of Deutsche Bahn, but of
Yeah.
all the projects you've done, which one do you love the most? And why?
The project I'm currently working on is my favorite project because currently we are working on a kind of agent very similar to ChatGPT, yes, indeed, which uses generative AI to somehow access all the internal information with a huge large language model. So that means with a very high language quality, with a very proper semantic search involving dynamic data, and I think there's a lot of power, a lot of capability in this technology.
And who will profit the most from that in your company?
Yes, and this is again a good question. The aim of this project are our peers, and if this project succeeds, it might help almost everybody working at Deutsche Bahn because it's very similar to a search, but it's way more powerful because it has way more logic and a higher quality. And this way we hope that we can give all our peers kind of well, let's say a knowledge calculator. You know what I mean? It's a little bit like a calculator, but for knowledge.
And how does it feel? That's my last question. How does it feel to be able to work on something so powerful?
It feels great. Yes, it's a lot of fun, and I have to state that Deutsche Bahn is an awesome employer because they give you the freedom, also the freedom to fail. Yes, because we work in an innovative area and you never know if your idea really will succeed, but they give you the opportunity to try it out. How to say that, the environment is perfect for things like that. And just to make at least a single little advertisement, we are searching for people who like to work in this environment. So simply contact me if you like to do something like that.
Thank you very much, Sascha, for being here and talking to us. And it's so much fun to see someone so passionate for his work.
Thank you.
And you're creating great stuff. So, yeah, thank you very much. And we'll keep in touch.